Great to see you on Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Always my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
So let's get straight into it. In your opinion, is this emergency rule a deliberate attempt to weaken the opposition and favor Wike's interest, or is it a genuine response to a security crisis?
I don't have any iota of belief that this is an orchestrated, an imposed, self-imposed control by the president on a state that is predominantly a PDP state. There are conditions, even if you want to state to organize an emergency or whatever. To me, it's a revisit of a democratic Armageddon in Nigeria. And we have to be extremely, very, very careful. What was the prevailing situation in Rivers? Was there a general violence across the state? There was dispute amongst the assembly members and the governor. After the Supreme Court judgment, the governor addressed the state that there must be calmness. And he even went to the extent of going that he will meet the directives of the Supreme Court, despite the fact that the judgment itself from Supreme Court, you have had so many juries, panels that have looked at it. In fact, there was a professor who emphatically stated that that judgment is not right because there had been a judgment by a 7-panel members of the Supreme Court, that this other one was by a 5-panel member. And the governor made sure he addressed these people, talked to them. He was calm, he was civil, he was very humble. Despite that, President Tinubu invited Pandef, the leaders, the Ijaw leaders across this country, from Ondo State all the way to Akwa Ibom. And he spoke with them and asked them, go home and resolve this. Only the second day, Wike now addressed the press. Where is that done? Once your boss has spoken, do you have to make any further comments that will aggravate the situation? And then by the third day, he had issued an order that was not cleared with the parliament, that these guys should be removed and to be suspended. And people have come, I'm not a lawyer, I wish I was, but people like Falana and so many other brilliant lawyers in this country have come to say that you don't do things like this. You cannot sign a gazette and then you are now trying now to send it to the parliament for approval. It should have been discussed and approved and then forwarded to you before you release it. That wasn't what he did. And so, the totality of it is, okay, you want to grab Rivers State, the people will decide. But the way you are going reminds me so much of what happened in 1962 in Western Region. I have here the comments, the speech made by Baba Awolowo at the Federal Parliament. You know what he said? He said, look, before you decide to say that you will take over that Western Region, they set up this same, what do you call it? Emergency. And he said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm quoting him now. What is a public emergency? What is a state of public emergency? This is Baba talking. May I say that my view, quite candidly, is that a state of public emergency arises only when there is widespread violence in any part of the Federation. Was there a widespread violence in Rivers State? I heard the Attorney General saying, no, he demolished the building, the House of Assembly building. They said the building, the governor replied that the building that he destroyed was for a revisit to rebuild it because it was already cracking up. They blew up a pipe. So, is this the first time they are blowing pipes all over the place? Was there a widespread violation? So why did you jump the gun? And this is a party, this is a state controlled by the opposition. Now, what are we now saying for the future? I want to advise, Mr. President, you can only define and know a crisis when it starts. You don't know how it would end. I want to beg you, and I want to beg Nigerians, kadankada, like they say in Hausa land, wayo wayo, as they say in Igbo, and tejejeo, like we say in Yoruba land.
Absolutely.
I am pleading. It is
right,
a revisitation of democratic Armageddon.
Yes.
Let us be careful.
We have to.
Let us be careful.
Yes. Chief Bode George, I just want to pick on what you said, describing this as one step towards a democratic Armageddon, and truly the people will decide. But how does this weaken the respect for the rule of law as we look forward to the 2027 elections, and how we are seeing a lot of alliances, a lot of coalitions, in terms of respect, which is going to be the foundation upon which a lot of this entire election decisions and choices are going to be built, including people who will be voting? How does this weaken that trust?
You know, and I want to advise also on a national plate. And all those people who are jostling, moving, ruling, hunting to be president of this country. You know, a rolling stone gathers no moist. All those people who are saying, oh, we are going to set up another, a mega party. Is there any one of them who is not ambitious to be president of Nigeria? Is there any one of those people? Is that the real approach to solving this problem? For me, it started like a little mess at our national convention. Some of us advised that this party, our party, is not a private fiefdom. It's not a private enterprise for anybody. Nobody listened. And then Wike started on his own, and he had gone beyond the red line. Let me tell you, I am praying that this month of Ramadan, this month of Lent, that the Almighty God, the Spirit is blowing through Nigeria. I want to plead with our people. Be prayerful. Let us submit ourselves to the grace, the protection, and the teachings of the Almighty God. If we miss it, Akirewele Lemejo, 1962 crisis led us to the first coup in 1966, the counter coup in 1966, and then the Civil War. People who had absolutely nothing to do with that crisis that started in the House of Assembly in the Western region engulfed the whole nation. And then so many of our leaders were murdered. 1983, Shagari's period, Papa Ajasi and Baba Omobori Owo, the crisis. led also to the downfall of President Shagari's government. Have we learned anything from history? Why? What is it in life? Is there any life that is perpetual? Is there anybody who thinks he can live forever? Do unto others what you want them to do for you. When Baba Obasanjo was president, we had a big crisis in Osun State between Ife and Modakeke. The governor went to Baba Obasanjo to say, look, sir, I needed support. The security situation in my state was getting out of hand. Baba Obasanjo sent me, only me, to go and meet the governor. I went to Ife. We were in different political parties, but the approach was different. I sat with Papa in the morning. We had breakfast together. I told him I didn't have much information or knowledge about Osun State. Give me one man, a knowledgeable person. We both, myself and that man, we sat together, met the Ife people. I didn't try to change it to a political advantage for PDP. No. We met the demands. We listened to the people, and we found a solution. Within 5 days, it was all resolved. Crisis that had been there for long, more than what you can think of. Eventually, they all agreed. And since that time till today, nothing has happened in Ife Modakeke. Do you think there is any nation that won't have crisis, that won't have disagreement, or a party or whatever? All these groups who are running around for their personal ambition, look, they are making a monumental mistake. And they are all dancing on the graves of our founding fathers.
I'm so happy that you talked about former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and some analysts have said that the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is simply taking a cue, from our past leaders like President Olusegun Obasanjo and President Goodluck Jonathan, who during their time also imposed state of emergencies in some states. So really, what is the big deal, so to speak, in what the president have done, seeing that the PDP under its administration also did the same?
You know the difference. Let me start from Jonathan. No single elected member in the Borno and Yobe and Adamawa state, no single governor was removed. Yes, there was violence across the states. People were being murdered. School children were being abducted. There was a breakdown of law and order. But he did not remove any governor. Now, Bola Tinubu has added another extra
but Chief Olusegun
to the
Obasanjo
face
did
of
suspend
the Constitution.
Governor Dariye of Plateau State at that time. President Obasanjo at that time did suspend Dariye.
There was crisis, yes. He suspended Dariye, and you can when you look back into it, when you look deeper into it, the crisis came up. Dariye was a member of our party. He was a governor in Plateau State that belonged to PDP. So he was not undermining an opposition party. The hue and cry came from the people of Plateau State. He came from the people of Plateau State. And so it's a completely different ball game now. I have said it. What is the violence? Where is the wreck in Rivers that will prompt Bola Tinubu to say you suspend an elected person? And our constitution has stated clearly that you have no right. It's unconstitutional for you to suspend an elected governor and an elected member, and they should report now to you, to the cabinet office. What a charade. It is not acceptable. It is not on. You know what it reminds me? You are now behaving like a military governor, like a military president. The judiciary and the executive and the legislative arm are independent but equal in powers. What are we seeing? The voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. What are we doing, for God's sake?
Now, Chief Bode George.
Baba Tinubu, please, Tejejeo, you have to be extremely careful. I've told you, everything that is happening today happened before 1962. You should take the speech read by Baba Wolowo in the parliament. It was like as if he was a soothsayer. And now, where is the violence in Rivers? And I want to please Rivers people, both the mainland and the riverine people, I beg you, be resilient, be quiet, don't be violent. Put a shame on what they have called you. Put a shame on them by remaining perfectly submissive to the goodness of the Almighty God. Please, don't create any violence. Look at that governor.
Yes, of course. With regards to, you're speaking to the people now. Now, some people would also say that, PDP's real threat are not external but internal, that the cracks are within. Now, as
internal,
an elder,
that is true.
It's internal, exactly. So you have, for instance, Nyesom Wike, who is a member of the PDP but is serving in the APC government. How are you managing what some people might even describe as his dual status right now?
Let me tell you something. When the crisis started in PDP, they invited me as an elder to join the G5 governors and some other elders. I did. We fell out. When we found that some of the things they are doing do not fall in line with the dictates of the party. And what Wike just did is completely unacceptable in any civilized situation. I cannot be a member of this party. He has crossed the red line. You know why? During this same period of trying to put state of emergency in Rivers, he revoked the CFO of our party secretariat. I want him to listen to me very carefully, because he's like my political son. It's like you come from your community, and from that community, your home village was there. Suddenly, you now became the local government chairman of that community. And the first exercise you did, official, is to go revoke the certificate of occupancy of your father's house.
So are you saying
the house that produced you, the house where you got all kinds of things? So if he did that, what is the amount of money we are owing? 7.2 million. It would have been more honorable if he put his hand in his pocket and he says, yes, you are owing this, but I'm going to pay it because I am a thoroughbred son of the soil. I am a child of that house. It is that house that gave him the ticket to be chairman of the local government, made him the member, chief of staff to the governor, made him a minister, and became governor for 8 years. What else do you do?
Chief Bode George,
is that the way to say thank you?
Would you then say, based off of what?
Is that the way to say thank you?
Based off of what you've just said, would you then say that in his actions, through what he has done, Nyesom Wike, that is, has disowned his own party as a result of what he has done, as a result of political preferences?
Absolutely. What else? That's what I said. As a general, I'm saying he has crossed the red line. Once you cross the red line, what are you looking for?
So what is he still doing then? Why do you think
take over your father's house?
Why do you think he is still a member of the party? In your own opinion,
no. The party, these things are just breaking. No. Young lady, this thing is just breaking. the party has to meet. We have to meet. The leaders, the members of the board of trustees, we own the party in trust for the members of the party. We own the assets and the liabilities of the party, for the good of our people. If a young man has done what he did, to say they should revoke the party secretariat of our party, he has crossed the red line. He has declared an open war. And it's such a shame. We must be irresponsible as leaders and elders if we don't take an action. Unfortunately, like I said, when those people started the committee for what do they call it? The one that Tommy Kimi is heading, disciplinary committee. I looked at the membership. Tommy Kimi, yes, is on Atiku's side. The secretary of that same committee is on Atiku's side, Jegede. And they said I should come and be a member. I said, no, I cannot. First of all, Tom met me in this party. I cannot serve under him. Then secondly, the way the thing was structured was warped.
Please allow me
so
to interrupt.
Where do you start? And I'm pleading with our people. Now I'm told that there was a judgment this morning by the Supreme Court again that Anyanwu should come back. We have no qualms. We have nothing to do. We can't appeal to anybody anymore now. We should go back. Fortunately, by October, November this year, we are going to have a convention.
Now, very well
no
said.
No qualms.
Chief
don't
Judge,
fight
please
nobody.
Allow me to come in because of time. We're
don't
almost completely
anybody.
out of time. Now,
yes.
you said something earlier.
Yeah.
You said that a true son should have put his hands in his pocket, and paid the money instead of revoking, But then some people would say that that's actually the problem. The fact that for a while he's been single-handedly funding the PDP. This has led to the issue of money politics, selection of candidates, and all the issues that threatened internal democracy in your party. So if you said that should continue, are you not simply continuing in the path to destruction? Anyway, that's an observation. We are almost out of time. Now, my last question to you is this. It's curious how there were no dissenting voices in the National Assembly regarding the state of emergency in Rivers State. What happened to PDP lawmakers? What happened to other opposition lawmakers? Why were they silenced regarding this matter?
No. I am happy you raised that point. We are told that the voting procedure in this kind of a situation, like we have seen in developed world, it's not by voice vote. It's not voice vote. I want to congratulate and thank some of our senators who worked out. These are the truths, because tomorrow history will be written. I have here the speech made by Baba Awolowo in 1962. It is historical. Now, all those people who sat there, who did this, was there a voice? What the proper thing will be for every member, which we had done before. In this kind of a situation where it is dire, it's not a matter of voice vote, because the man who is presiding, if he's biased, even if it is negative, we say it is not negative. And the House members, majority of them were not in town. Majority of the people were not in town. If you want us to do it, to dissect it, let them give us the actual results. How many people were in this on seat? How many physically voted? Which is done in the United States. When it comes to matters of importance like this, you go one by one, you will vote, they will count. Not by making sure that you do it by voice vote as if it's not important. A voice vote is just like something you can just flip up. This is so vital for the future of this nation. It's so vital. And the issue that if he pays 7.2 million, he's the one that is there. He said in 20 years the party has not paid. You mean he cannot afford 7.2 million naira to pay on behalf of the party? Even I'm not a minister. If they ask me, I will pay it, and then you go back and collect your money, rather than disgracing your family outside. Is that acceptable?